Right. So we are reading Far Journeys by Robert Monroe. We are on chapter 4 of the book. Chapter 4 of the book, page number 46 of the book, and page number 47 of the, sorry, page
No,
number
it's page number 29 of the PDF.
29 of the PDF. So now what is happening here is an explorer has gone into an altered state of consciousness, and the entity which has come has requested to use the vocal cords of the explorer to communicate with the monitor. So that's where we are talking about now.
New voice. Greetings. I am speaking through these vocal cords, and I would like to speak to this young lady as she observes what is taking place. Her physical body is seeming to heat up very rapidly. Sometimes it will be in a cool stage, but other times it will be in a heated stage, and the molecules of the energy body, which is working through her physical body, is working at a more rapid rate, and therefore, right at this time, there is a feeling of heat surrounding this body. This young lady will understand what is happening when we first come into her aura. There will be the feeling of warmth, and as she gets more relaxed and is able to begin her float above her physical body, she will experience as the coolness and feeling of relaxation, the feeling of complete calm, complete peace, and complete security. And then there will be the light stage and the coolness that will come over her, and she will know that she is gently going out of body, but will always be in complete control if she so chooses.
Okay.
She's
So, so one second. So what is being said? Shimangla, your mic. So what is being said over here is that when the molecules start vibrating, right, there is a feeling of heat which is generated in the body system. Now, if you all know how a microwave works, a microwave basically is generating a frequency which is causing the molecules of the food which is put into the microwave to start to vibrate, and the rubbing effect is what generates the heat which heats the food that you put in the microwave, right? So the same principle is coming over here, and that is one of the reasons why microwave food is not considered good, because it changes the molecular structure of the food that you are eating. Now over here, when the molecules are rubbing against each other, they will generate heat. So in the beginning she will feel that warmth coming in, and then as she gets out of her body, that warmth will cool down because she will separate from the body, right? And there'll be a distinct division between where her energy field is and her physical body is.
She is always there to observe, to speak at any time, or can always even choose to step into another dimension, and there will be those who will help her into those other dimensions. And while this is taking place, we will work with trying to bring through information through these vocal cords. This is a special experiment of stepping into knowledge dimensions, and this could never be done were it not for you with the knowledge that you bring, and with you great light and confidence that you surround this whole project that you work on.
So now he is addressing Robert Monroe, saying that you are doing an important work and you are allowing, because of your presence, is that this work can be done and we can do this work because you are there and you are creating a safe space. You're holding space for this entire experiment to be carried out. So that's why in workshops also, holding space is a very big thing. What is the kind of space you're creating for the participants becomes very important for the experience that the participants will have. So you'll always hear this concept of holding space. So when you're doing a healing with someone or you're talking to someone, what is the space that you're holding becomes very, very important.
I have worked with others who will come in as we reach different dimensions and levels. We will not say higher or lower, they are to bring through the knowledge. I am working now on the level where this entity is presently, but we will work together through various levels.
Okay. Now, over here, he's also saying that the person, I mean, the persons whose vocal cords he's speaking through is always in control and can speak when they want to. They can also, if so desire, they can go into other dimensions and other realms. And also, in these dimensions, there'll be other beings who will come in to help, to give information, to give knowledge, and to support the entire experiment.
There are others who are working with her. I speak in terms of we because each time that I come, we come as a group. There are the others who are the assistants and will always be there to bring the energy levels up and to work.
So again,
And
this has also been seen. Most of the time, a group of people will come. Sometimes a single entity will come, but many times a group comes and they work together.
and we say that you are doing exactly what is necessary to help the situation to be in that perfected state. Sorry. There is, sorry, yeah. And we say that you are doing exactly what is necessary to help the situation to be in that perfected state, whereby, I'm sorry, but just stop it once. Start now. And we say that you are doing exactly what is necessary to help the situation to be in that perfected state, whereby the energies can be released into other levels of consciousness. And now we will step out and allow her to step back fully into her own body. It is a privilege. Thank you, dear friends.
So now what actually happened? Her, the person whose body we are talking through, her conscious awareness has shifted out of the body. The other entity has come into the body or is using the vocal cords which have been emptied out, right? Now this entity which came in, or the new voice, has moved out again, and the actual person who was occupying the body will is coming back into the body.
Her confidence in
Yeah.
Yes,
Hello.
Ritu. Yes, Ritu. Yeah.
Is this the same thing that when people, people who passed away, and there are people who can connect you with them, and they so much like it, they say
या
that
वो
you
जो
can talk.
देवी आ जाते हैं, जो पित्र आ जाते हैं,
हाँ, जो पित्र आ जाए, so
पित्र
is
आ
it
जाते हैं, वो सेम प्रिंसिपल है.
that they use that body and this thing? The
Yes,
pitra use the body of somebody else who's alive,
correct.
and
Yeah,
they talk. Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah. So
thank
they take over the body and
okay,
they come into the body and then
huh,
they use the vocal cords.
okay. Thank you, Bhaiya.
there is some annotation. For example, in order to help her get out of the body, four of these beings would position themselves, two on each side, and simply lift her out. This made it all the simpler to get on with what had to be done. You're muted.
Okay, so what was happening here? When this lady went, and this is Rosie McKnight, this explorer's name was actually Rosie McKnight, and she actually has given lectures and talks about this incident also. Where what used to happen, she used to be working with an entity called ASO, because they didn't have a name for that. That fellow, the way he used to speak, they named the entity ASO. So now ASO used to come with a group of people. Every Wednesday was the day that she used to be there in that check unit. And they used, these four of them used to come and they used to lift her out of her body and then take her for various exploration. And Rosie McKnight was one of the most prolific explorers at that time. Okay, she's even written a book about her experiences.
An interesting sidelight to this particular routine took place some months later. The Explorer ROMC usually had a lab session at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. On this particular Wednesday, she had cancelled several days in advance. By coincidence, on that Wednesday, a female psychologist from the Washington area dropped in to visit. She was quite skeptical of what we were doing, and we spent several hours that afternoon going over our methods and techniques. Finally, in order to help her understand a little better, I suggested that she go into booth 2 and lie down and listen to some of the hemisync patterns and find out for herself if she had any response to them. She agreed, fully expecting that there would be nothing unusual about what was to happen. With her skepticism, I was inclined to agree.
So now, Hemisync does not force you to do anything, right? Now, if you reject it, that means it will get rejected. It's not going to force you. The key concept here, and we keep talking about it in the workshops also, is allowing. You have to allow the process to work for you.
About 5 minutes in the booth with the hemisync sound in her ears, her voice came through the intercom speaker. There is someone else in the booth with me. I pushed the microphone button. Are you sure? I asked. Of course I'm sure. As a matter of fact, there are 4 of them. I made contact again. Are you sure there are 4? I can perceive them very clearly. There are 2 at my feet and 2 at my head. I pushed the mic button again. What are they doing? They're trying to lift me out of my body, if you can believe that. Suddenly, I knew the answer. I looked up at the clock. It was 10 minutes after 5. On Wednesday afternoon, ROMC's friends can get trapped in routines too. I burst out laughing. I was about to reach for the microphone and explain it to the woman in the booth when I thought better of it.
So now what was happening over here? Every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, Rosie McKnight used to be at that booth and they were lifting her out of her body. Now, these entities also got stuck in a routine, and whoever was in the booth, they were trying to take her out of the body. And this skeptic lady was getting, I mean, you can understand, she's full of skepticism and she is being lifted out of the body, and she suddenly finds 4 other people in the booth with her whom she can perceive. You can imagine what state she would have been in.
I pushed the mic button. What are they doing now? They have stopped trying to lift me out of my body. Her voice came back, and they are arguing. It was difficult to keep a calm voice as I responded. What are they arguing about? The 4 want to lift me out, and now there is a 5th that is arguing with them that they should not. Do you want them to? I asked. I don't think so, a voice came back. Now they have stopped arguing and they are going away. So I guess there is no problem. I smiled as I pushed the mic button and said, well, just relax a bit and I'll get you out in a few minutes. Are you comfortable now? Oh, yes, she responded. I am fine. I left her in the booth for some 10 to 15 minutes and watched as the gauges showed that she was relaxing into a light sleep. After a suitable time, I awakened her and brought her out much refreshed. She was somewhat bewildered by the experience and made a valiant attempt to stay skeptical. I showed her the appointment schedule that usually called for an experimental session. Then I played a recording of the actual lifting out techniques as described by the explorer subject. She finally left, a very puzzled and preoccupied individual. Things like that are hard on belief systems when they happen to most people. The problem was that so many were happening to us. There were many suspenseful moments.
So now, anything that is really out of your conception, right? It puts a strain, it puts a stress in the system. And all of us have belief systems. We are all in a box. And the point is that we need to stretch the box. We need to get out of the box. If we want ultimate freedom that we call moksha, nirvana, enlightenment, we have to get out of our box. So over here, the skeptic lady was very skeptic about about the technology being used, and she had a first-hand experience. Now, whether she likes it or not, her life has changed after that because she cannot discount that experience because it really happened to her.
It should be noted here that reaching this state of trust and communication and or association with these friendly entities and beings took hours and hours of preliminary contact plus third party communication discussions. It did not happen overnight to the degree indicated here. A great mass of material provided through such beings had to do with information of a philosophic nature or suggestions and advice regarding the personal well being of the explorers involved. In no case was any drug or any other medication used in any of our experiments.
So, what is being said over here? We can go into drug induced states also, right? But over here, no drugs are used. It is only the sound, the frequencies which are taking you into an altered state of consciousness. And that is what allows us to be in total control during the experience, and you can actually remember your experience when you come back. If it is a drug induced hallucination, then many times you will not remember it when you come back from the high that the drug has provided you with. Okay, so there's a very big difference between drug induced states and the states that are reached through the use of the Monroe Institute sound technology.
Moreover, there are indications that a magnetic field is generated of a type with which our science is unfamiliar. One of the results of this is to set up magnetic fields in nearby electrical loops as well as audio cables. Another is to affect nearby magnetic tape to such an extent that a print through takes place from one layer of tape to another. The recording industry would like very much to know how to do this at a commercial level. However, of course, the results that we have are not significant enough to be commercially viable. Not yet, at least.
So, what is he saying? That when these things happen, it creates an electromagnetic field in that vicinity, and it could actually affect magnetic tape. So जो पहले recording करते थे अपने magnetic tape पे, it could influence the recording. So if you had a recording, it could distort the recording or put some other kind of a sound on the recording when you played it back. Okay.
One night, when we got into our cars parked outside some 20 feet from booth 2, We found that the batteries were dead in all three cars. The jump started quite easily, as it was a summer night, and stayed in charge afterward. Cars parked on the other side or 60 feet away were unaffected. Thus, we learned we had better not to park too close to booth 2 during certain experiments with specific explorers. Exactly why this took place and still does so, we don't know.
So
In
again,
the
this electromagnetic field would affect batteries also, right? So many times we have found that when people are going into these expanded states, electronic equipment starts to malfunction. You'll see it in movies also. Many times someone is generating a surge of power and the bulbs start to pop up. So many times when people go into these states, they generate such a big electromagnetic field that equipment starts to malfunction when they are there. Okay, this can happen very naturally and normally to a lot of people.
in the current Explorer group, only two remain from the original team. The tide of personal events has moved the others away from this area, their lives visibly altered by the experience. The original material is still being processed. Meanwhile, more is entering through sessions in our new lab facility. Perhaps we need a few more doctors with other credentials. New associations. In hundreds of hours of Explorer communication to date, about one third consists of those instances where, with the explorer's permission, their friendly entities take over their physical bodies and speak using the explorer's vocal cords. The other two thirds are contacts made by the explorer, who then converses with the non physical third party and reports the conversation. In both cases, the monitor in the control room, living physical domain, becomes a part of such discussions.
So again, there are two ways. Shimangla, your mic, you need to adjust the volume. Okay, so there are two ways. One is that the body of the explorer is taken over, and through the vocal cords, like in the last one, through the vocal cords, the entity is speaking. The other way is that there's a three-way conversation, and in every case here, the monitor is actually recording the entire session. The monitor is actually seeing all the skin galvanizing response, the pulse rate, the electrical potential, all that stuff. The monitor is actually monitoring. So it's a real experience that is taking place in all these sessions.
What we call the explorer material is a combination of fascinating, baffling, awe inspiring, thought provoking, sometimes boring data that is certainly much in conflict with many of the belief systems that we have within our culture and civilization. The most important possibility by far is the reality of the explorer material, their experiences, and especially these friendly entities who assist them. Second to this is the fact that the process is ongoing, expanding.
So naturally, these things that are happening are a little out of the box. So naturally, they are going to change the conception and the belief system of people who are going through the process.
To resolve that possibility one way or another will take some time doing and some capacities far beyond the limits of our organization.
Shimangla, slow down a little bit.
In examining the explorer sessions in consensus, certain elements repeat themselves. 1. Whatever they may be, such non physical third parties have the ability to radiate a warmth of friendliness that evokes complete trust, even with their lives, on the part of the explorers.
So as I keep saying, when we are going into these expanded states, the entities there, the energies there are all compassionate. They are all loving, and this was adequately perceived in the explorer sessions.
2. Such beings are first of all totally solicitous as to the well being of the explorer and spend much time in attempting to advance the best mental and physical state of the human being with whom they are associated.
So they do not want to harm you. They always want to expand you, to expand your capacities, to be able to take you into a higher state of consciousness. They are always wanting to do that.
3. A being usually appears to the explorer in the form of a hooded figure whose face is hidden in shadow and apparently invisible to the explorer. Once the explorer becomes completely familiar with the feel of the entity, the hooded robe is discarded and the explorer can perceive nothing but still senses the radiation that is the entity.
So again, in these expanded states of consciousness, what happens is that we are basically just vibrations, right? Now, to make the explorer comfortable, the entity comes in a hooded figure, right? Or some figure that will be convenient or all right or within the belief system of the person who's attempting to make the contact, right? Or the explorer that is there in this case, so that they become comfortable. Now, once they become comfortable and they get the feel of the energy, that's why in the workshops, we are constantly telling you, get the feel of that state, get the feel of that state. So once you get the feel of that state, then you do not need the hood anymore. So the hood gets removed, and then the explorer can feel the presence of the entity just by the vibratory frequency of that particular entity. So they know that, yes, this person is over here. And because you are contacting the person regularly, you understand that feel. This is what becomes very important here in these explorations.
In speaking to the explorer, the being is limited in vocabulary to that in the memory bank of said explorer. Therefore, it often shows hesitation in searching for the correct word to express what needs to be described, and often there is no such word in the memory of the individual.
So in spite of the entity taking over the vocal cords, the hardware is still working, right? So the entity has to work with what the entity has in the body system of the person. So they cannot make the person do something which the person is not capable of doing, okay, generally speaking. But they can always help you to raise the bar so that you can do better and better and better in whatever you are doing.
5. During visits by certain of these beings, especially when they use the physical body to speak through, there is a change in body voltage and other biomonitoring data in the explorer.
So,
Without further comment, here are excerpts from various sessions.
okay. So now what happened? Whenever, like for example, it was very clearly seen whenever Joe McMonaghan went out of body and they were monitoring his processes, the polarity of his skin changed. So let us say the lead is taken from here, it is giving a positive, and the lead taken from the other finger is negative, right? The polarity used to reverse, and that used to indicate that he is going out of the body. This also has been noticed in salamanders. Salamanders mane apna chipkali, right? How the chipkali can grow the tail back is because the polarity shifts in the chipkali is the electrical potential where the cut is, it shifts and then it can grow back the tail. There was a lot of work done on these polarity shifts by a guy called Robert Becker. he was actually able to grow a human hand back by changing the polarity and getting the hand to grow back in with this. So these polarity shifts are very, very important. Okay, I'll just have to 1 second.
Your voice is breaking.
नहीं हमारे यहाँ तो नहीं.
अच्छा, then मेरा ही गड़बड़ होगा. Physicist, I've gotten all kinds of things and I've been trying to sort them and put them into some kind of rational order. First of all, I had the impression that physical matter reality, in as much of, I guess, what is normally called reality, not only physical matter, but also a certain amount of our daydreaming and our imaginative, intuitive qualities, is part of a sort of like a large daydream or thought from a higher consciousness. First, as we can daydream and invent characters and situations, we are characters in a situation that was invented or dreamt, quite consciously dreamt by a more advanced sort of consciousness. The part that we have to play in this daydream is one of education, one of learning and bettering ourselves, striving to become more.
So now this is there in our script. Shimangla, your mic, you have to adjust the volume. So this is there in our scriptures also, that this world was created by Brahmaji and it is a dream of Brahmaji. So this is exactly what he's saying over here, that we may be a dream, like we have a dream and we have a character which comes in the dream and we go through an entire process in our dream. What is to say that we are not part of someone else's dream who is operating at a higher state and a higher level of consciousness?
The part that we have to play in this daydream is one of education, one of learning and bettering ourselves, striving to become more. Now, I'm not clear why this kind of overconsciousness or oversoul is having this daydream, but I have the feeling that it is for its own education. It learns as we learn. Anyway, we have such limited consciousness to begin, because if you are going to set up a situation where you expect certain processes to happen, these processes, of course, are our education, our learning. You don't set up the most complex and involved experiment or situation. You set up a simple one that you can produce, that still has the qualities to get the results that you want. This is the reason that we are seemingly of such limited consciousness. But the reason that we have
So what is happening? So what is happening over here? Shimangla, your volume, either your speaker volume you have to lower. So what is happening over here? Okay, we have to understand that this experience that we are having is a learning experience, whether we consider it as a learning experience for ourselves or we consider it a learning experience or an experiment being conducted by an entity of a higher consciousness state. In either way, it is a learning experience. And we are here to learn and grow. Basically, that's the reason that we are all over here. Just 1 second.
But the reason that we have an option to develop our consciousness more fully is part of the experiment itself. We are to learn and grow and evolve and become and learn through experience in doing as closely as we can come to understanding and being a part of our understanding, a part of our creator, our oversoul daydreamer, if you like, then sort of the more power to us. The more of that we can understand, then the more learning that we've acquired. So it's not really, well, I take that back. It's not so much that we are driven to expand our awareness or that we should be, other than it's available. And being available makes it a direction in which we can evolve if we so choose. That's a little jumbled to myself, but that's the way it's coming out.
So now this entity is the one who's speaking, right? And what he is saying is that at the end, what are we doing here? We want to become more evolved so that we can become closer to the consciousness state of our overseer or of our the person who's doing the dream, in whose dream we are. So it's the same thing that we were talking about yesterday. If the electromagnetic spectrum is like that, we can only perceive so much. What we are attempting to do is expand this. And when we come into the same level, we will get enlightened, or we will have moksha, or we will transcend. And every learning is a learning experience. So we are coming here all the time to learn things, to evolve, to grow, to be able to become equal in the information available to that oneness, so that we can transcend and re-merge with that oneness from where we have actually come out.
Social worker. I've been on a almost like a vortex I was caught in. 22 is not physical in any way. 21 can be either physical or non-physical, depending on where you choose to focus the energy.
So now, when she is mentioning 21 and 22, this is focus level 21 and focus level 22. So he's clearly stating over here that focus 21 can be non-physical as well as physical. And what we say is focus 21 is the edge of physical reality. And that is where Mukul Bhabi was also sharing the other day, that we can meet the entities. In fact, she was sharing in the excursion workshop that we can meet entities when we go into focus 21. Having said that, entities have now started appearing in focus 10 and 12 and 15 also. But at that time, they used to appear more at focus 21. When you cross over from focus 21, it is basically the non-physical realm that you are really going into.
It's neither up nor down, nor forward or backward. 21 all appear very comfortable, but very different. The sense I have like a rainbow going before me of colors, and they are like the colors that Miranon has described, but they are all going at different beats and moving. It is like I see a spectrum of 22 through. I don't know through 28. Something like that, and they are all interwoven. I think I could draw it for you. I like 21. So I have just kind of stayed here, and the sense that I have, it's like when you asked that, I got the illusion of looking at a sunset and having it sense that the horizon is the end. But that it's only an illusion because as you go forward in the levels, new levels arise.
So now this is a explorer having an experience of going into these various focus levels, right? So he clearly says over here, I see a spectrum through spectrum of 22 through, I don't know, through 28. So from 22 to 28, she is seeing a spectrum of various levels, and they are all interwoven. So as we constantly keep saying in the workshops, that you can exist in all the focus levels simultaneously because they are interwoven, they are not distinct, right? But you get a feel of each focus level as you go into it, and then you can start resonating with a particular focus level. So you can actually decide that, okay, I want to be in focus level 21 and I can do this better in 21, or I can be in 27 and I can do this thing better in 27. I can plan better here. I can execute better here. I can read better here. I can enjoy music better. I can cook better here. You can actually start using the focus levels on that basis. That what do you do better in which focus level?
Other voice. I apologize for being so late, but I need to thank you and to tell you that I am glad you received my message. If you would like to explore these levels, I would be very happy to do so with you.
So now the entity has come and is asking the monitor. Basically, I think over here it would be Robert Monroe that would you like to explore the other levels?
Monitor. I would appreciate it very much. Other voice. As I have said to you earlier, plants exist on levels 1 through 7. They are on a vibrational rate on the levels 1 through 7. It is the same pattern. Animals exist on the levels 8 through 14. And when a consciousness attains level 14, it can no longer go any higher unless it is willing to change its form of consciousness. Levels 15 through 21 are what you call human life on this earth. When a person progresses to level 21, he then has the choice of going higher or staying within the realm of human form. But he cannot go higher unless he is willing to give up human form.
Okay, so just 1 second. So he is talking about the Mirayan colors over here.
Miranan.
Melanin colors. I'm just going to share a screen with you all. Shivangla, I'm stopping your share ek bar. Can everyone see? Can everyone see
Yes.
the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so he
Yes.
says over here that plant life exists from level 1 to 7. Are you all seeing that over here?
Yes.
Okay, now if I want to shift from plant life into animal life, I have to create a shift in the level of consciousness that I'm operating in. The way that I'm perceiving consciousness, I need to shift it. So then from level 8 to 14 is the animal world, right? And then when we go in from 15 to 21, this is the human world. Are you all getting this? So over here, he clearly says plants exist on a level from 1 through 7. Animals exist on the level 8 through 14. And when a person attains a consciousness attaining level of 14, it can no longer go any higher unless it's willing to change its form of consciousness. Level 15 through 21 are what you call human life on this earth. When a person progresses to level 21, then he has the choice of going higher or staying within the realm of human form. But he cannot go higher unless he's willing to give up a human form. So this is the edge of physical reality. You see this mark over here, and then this is the bridge. So every 7 levels it goes up, right? And then again you have one group over here which will go into the next level of 49. Okay, so 7 into 7 is the way that we progress in consciousness. Everyone clear with this?
You remember, Priya, in one of our workshops, you had actually measured whoever we were there, about 10 to 12 of us.
Yeah.
Each one of us, we had measured where we were on this bridge, on which.
Yeah, where we could be. What was our potential?
No, where we were at that point.
Yeah, but actually, that time I said where we were.
Huh.
Okay, but the point here is that where we can be.
Okay.
Because abhi we are here only, na? We are within this 21
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
If we are in physical reality, we are within 21.
We are here
What is
only.
our potential?
Okay.
That is what we were measuring that time actually. Now
Okay.
I need to correct myself on that.
No, it's okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shimangda, you're on.
Levels 15 through 21 are what you call human life on this earth. When a person progresses to level 21, he then has the choice of going higher or staying within the realm of human form. But he cannot go higher unless he is willing to give up human form. Monitor. Giving up human form? Other voice. Levels 22 through 28 are your bridge. They are your levels that you enter upon death. You are on level 20, and because that is an ascending level, you can enter into the realm beyond physical life. but you cannot stay there unless you are willing to give up your human form. Is that clear?
So now, if I want to stay permanently in that expanded state of consciousness, then I cannot be in this human form, right? Because this human form needs that energy and needs the nourishment, needs to get up, needs to do stuff, right? Now, if I'm totally out of the body all the time, then my body finds it very difficult to survive.
Monitor. That much is clear. Yes. Other voice. And then once a person, we are talking about consciousness, reaches level 28, the bridge is crossed. And from that point on, for a consciousness to evolve higher, it would not again assume human form of any kind, not even as a learning experience. I will never incarnate again as a human, as another form of life, yes, but not as a human. The words are very hard because your plane of existence is not the same. Perhaps I can explain it by asking you to image 7 of the circles, which would give you the 49 levels. The first 3 levels are physical matter, as you know physical matter. They are your plants, your animals, your humans. The fourth circle is your bridge, your realm, your center for that overall plane. It is the time in which a consciousness can choose whether to go back into the lower levels or to transcend into the higher levels. And many consciousnesses do choose to go back into the lower levels in physical form. The upper 3 circles are the realm that in your consciousness is called the spiritual realm. And here much of the work is done. I could not help someone who was not on the 18th level very much because my plane, my vibrational rate would be different. This is why it is hard for me to help you with specific problems. I can give you ideas, but I cannot give you the direct guidance I could give if you were on level 18. Our planes do touch since yours is an ascending spiral and ascending. What is your word for that? It is an ellipse. It is an ascending ellipse, and therefore I can cross and communicate with you, but not as directly. Once I reach level 49, which I will, I then leave all this of this realm of existence. It does not mean I have reached the highest point by any means. It simply means I have left this group of 7, this overall group of 7. Imagine, if you will, the 7 circles enclosed in an even larger circle upon which 7 more circles are stacked, which is in turn enclosed in even a great circle. Then you can have some idea of what infinity is. It does not ever stop.
So again, you have these levels of consciousness, right? So we are talking about going into focus 52 with the Monroe programs. There's this lady who's written a book. She talks about focus level 253, right? So you can understand where we are starting. In the excursion, we are hardly doing focus 10 and 12 right now. So we have a lot of work to actually do. Okay, it's 16, so we can stop here today. Anyone, anything to say?